Liverpool just did something incredible. They went away from home at the Etihad against Manchester City and beat them 2-0 to go 11 points clear at the top of the Premier League. And here's the wild part. Liverpool only had 33% possession in the game, and yet it looked like they controlled and dominated the game. How did they do it? Let's break it all down, from Salah's masterclass up front to Van Dijk's defensive wall at the back, and look at exactly why this could be the season that Liverpool take the crown. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts on the game down below and subscribe for more. Let's start with the man who genuinely defines Liverpool's season this year, and that is Mohamed Salah. You could tell from minute one that Manchester City's defense was completely shook of him. They didn't know whether to get close or whether to give him space. Let's break down the second goal quickly, because that was a beautiful goal from Liverpool. Trent Alexander-Arnold has the ball and he plays the ball over the top towards that right hand side, and as you saw throughout that game, Szoboszlai and Salah were right next to each other. Szoboszlai was in an offside position, Salah was onside. So Szoboszlai leaves it knowing Salah's going to reach it, and the first touch Mohamed Salah takes is absolutely brilliant because it allows him to use his body to shrug off Gvardiol and create separation between him and Gvardiol so he can make his next move. And that's what some people just don't see with Salah. They don't call him an aesthetics merchant. They don't call him very nice to watch. But that's because his main aim for dribbling is to create separation, and he's the best at it. You could see Jeremy Doku on the other side, who was excellent in the game in terms of his dribbling. He beat Trent Alexander-Arnold about 9 or 10 times, but he was not able to use that separation at all to create an opportunity for Manchester City. Then you see Salah on this side, just using his body to create the opportunity to cut inside. And while he's cutting inside, Curtis Jones is making an excellent run in behind. The Manchester City defenders are all focused on Curtis Jones. He rolls the ball to Szoboszlai, who finishes it off on his left foot, and it was an excellent finish, but we'll touch on that finish later. The first goal was just as satisfying. McAllister does a pinpoint set piece corner routine straight into Szoboszlai, who does a deft touch which goes right into Salah's path. He finishes it off as he always does, even though it took a deflection of Nathan Ake, but he's always in the right place at the right time. And it's not just about the goals. Salah is breaking records this season. He's only the first player to get 40 plus goal involvements in more than 2 seasons, in different seasons. It's absolutely remarkable what he's doing this year. He has 25 goals and 16 assists, and we're only in February heading into March. He has scored and assisted in 11 games, in separate 11 games. That means he's got a goal and an assist in the same game 11 times this season. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds in terms of his consistency? And when you watch the way he plays in the big games, it all feels inevitable this season. Whenever he touches the ball, you can feel the energy shift. You can feel that the crowd knows he's about to do something. The commentators can't stop talking about him. The camera can't stop panning to his face. And it just feels like he knows he is the man this season. And Manchester City could feel it all game. It's not just the goals. It's the aura he's bringing to the pitch. You can tell this guy is world class. And for me, if he gets that another title with Liverpool and he ends it with the most goals, the most assists in the Premier League, it would not be crazy to call him the greatest Premier League attacker of all time. I know people love to talk about aesthetics about him, comparing him to Hazard, but he is a different animal altogether. I'm so grateful as a Liverpool fan to have been able to see Mohamed Salah's career at Liverpool, and I really hope that we continue to see Mohamed Salah at Liverpool with a new contract, because he's still got a couple of years to give. Now let's talk about Dominik Szoboszlai, because wow, what a performance that was from him. He's had his critics in the past, but that game showed exactly why he's so important to Liverpool and why he's so important in big games. He was relentless with his running. He literally chased every single ball for Liverpool off the ball. He worked incredibly hard, and you saw him collapse at the final whistle. And that's because he literally gave it everything he had in that game to make sure Liverpool end up winning the game. On top of that, he has that tactical versatility. He allows Arne Slot to use him in different ways. And today we saw him used as a false 9/false 10 with Curtis Jones. And there were so many rotations that was confusing Manchester City's defense because they didn't know who to mark, especially the centre-backs. And he was able to find Diaz, find Salah out wide. And the most important thing was he was making the right decisions. We've seen him bring the ball forward so confidently previously. But then when it comes to that final pass, when it comes to that final play, he always messes up. And today, he was absolutely brilliant. The way he was able to always find the right pass to Diaz, the right pass to Salah. And then when it mattered most, he got the goal that we needed, the second goal that he scored. That was his fourth in the Premier League and sixth in all competitions. And the main thing is that Szoboszlai can get better numbers than that. If he just gets a bit more confidence in his shooting, he should be getting about 8 to 10 goals at least in the Premier League alone, because that's how good he is. And if he continues to get this confidence going up and he finally starts to show the potential that he has as a number 10, then Liverpool have a scary player there. Because if you look at his defensive work, he was absolutely brilliant. He had 3 recoveries, 3 ground duels and 2 tackles. And if we can keep linking him up with Mohamed Salah on that right hand side, it was looking like a Gerrard Torres partnership against Manchester City today. And you got to give him credit. He has been heavily criticised since he's joined Liverpool. There's so many times where he's faced criticism about his performances on the ball especially, but he showed up in the biggest games this season, and he is one of those players that Arne Slot cannot afford to drop because of the amount of work that he does for the team. While Salah and Szoboszlai took all of the headlines for the game, Virgil van Dijk quietly had one of his best games at centre-back for Liverpool this season. I was so impressed with his performance. Manchester City kept getting in through the wings, especially with Savinho against Robertson and Jeremy Doku against Trent Alexander-Arnold, who completed about 10 or 11 dribbles and created so many opportunities with crosses. But every single time he crossed the ball, Virgil van Dijk was there to head it. Virgil van Dijk was there to clear it. His positioning was perfect. He always was in the right spot to clear the ball. His aerial dominance, we all know how good he is aerially. There's no way Manchester City were going to win anything in the air, especially with no Erling Haaland on the ball. And then on top of that, when you add the composure on the ball that he had, I think in the game he had about 93% pass accuracy. Even under pressure from Manchester City's attackers, that is an incredible performance. And when you add Ibrahima Konate alongside him, Liverpool now have a centre-back duo that you could say is one of the best in the Premier League we've seen. And the best part is, Virgil van Dijk looked like he was enjoying the game, especially alongside Ibrahima Konate. Both of them were cheering the fans on. Every single tackle was done passionately, making sure that they were enjoying the game while they were putting in these top performances. Every time he cleared the ball, he was leading the team forward. He was clapping his teammates for every good action they were doing. He is the epitome of a Liverpool captain, and he has deserved it ever since he's joined this club, because he has been absolutely brilliant. A total game changer to what Liverpool were before Van Dijk and to what they are with Van Dijk right now. And when we talk about all these performances from Van Dijk, from Salah, from Szoboszlai, we have to give credit to Arne Slot, because the way he has utilised his best players this season is exactly the reason why Liverpool are in a title race right now. He is the one who's profiled Mohamed Salah as a rest attacker for Liverpool when they're counter-attacking. He's the one who's put Van Dijk in that centre-back position with good cover around him, allowing him to play that ball forward into the central areas with confidence. He's the one who put Gravenberch as a number 6. We wanted Zubimendi to be the number 6. We didn't get him, so he didn't complain. But he brought Ryan Gravenberch into that number 6 position, taught him how to play it, and now he is one of the best midfielders in the league right now, especially with his performances we've seen. Then you add on top of that, in this specific game against Manchester City, Darwin Núñez was on the bench, Diogo Jota was on the bench, I think even Cody Gakpo was on the bench. But what did Arne Slot do? He used none of them. He went with no striker at all. Curtis Jones and Dominik Szoboszlai were almost like false 9s, false 10s, both leading the attack with Salah and Diaz out wide, and that confused Manchester City so much. And on a defensive point of view, it allowed Liverpool to have such a tight defense. We didn't allow Manchester City to attack us through the middle, to attack us through the sides enough times for them to cause trouble for us, because then we had the box defending of Van Dijk and Konate like we added. But the best adjustment that Arne Slot has made recently, ever since the Everton game, where I feel like he realised he made a mistake, was putting on Wataru Endo. That substitution is he is the game seer. He knows how to see the game out every single time he comes onto the pitch, and he is the perfect player for Liverpool. He blocks the shots, he wins his duels, and he helped Trent on that right hand side against Jeremy Doku. And in just 16 minutes, he won 3 duels and had 2 tackles. Slot is learning fast. Every single game you're watching Liverpool, he's learning something, and he's adapting to whatever he's learning in the Premier League. You all need to remember, this is his first season at Liverpool. This is his first season in the Premier League, and yet he's adapting so fast that he's allowing Liverpool to have multiple ways of playing. For example, if you watch some of Liverpool games this season, they have 60% possession, they're dominating the game, they easily win 4-1, 5-0. They can score the goals. And then you see the type of game that they played today, and the game plan was excellent. Liverpool go 2-0 up against Manchester City. They have a second half to play with Man City looking to get the goals back. And Manchester City were not bad. They were actually decent in this game. It was just Liverpool's excellent rest defense and just excellent defending in general. On the other hand, talking about Manchester City, they looked absolutely lost without Erling Haaland. They didn't have a focal point up front. Yes, they had Marmoush, Savinho, Doku, all these excellent players, but there was no one who was truly causing the centre-backs problems. And that doesn't allow any space to be made in that middle role in between the defence and midfield where Manchester City can truly cause Liverpool problems. And even to be fair to them, Savinho and Jeremy Doku were working so hard on the wing. Savinho was trying to beat Robertson, get crosses in. Doku on the other side had Trent Alexander-Arnold's number. He completely destroyed him on that left-hand side, yet he still wasn't able to create anything. And let's talk about the person who didn't try anything in this game, and that's Phil Foden. Every single time there's been a big game for Manchester City this season, Phil Foden has hidden. And when the team was playing well last season, the right environment, the right playing style, Phil Foden is a world-class player. But when the chips are down for the team, he is not the type of player to put his back up and say, this is my team, let me bring this team back into the game. Phil Foden was poor again, and he gets away with so many of these performances throughout a season. When you compare it to Mohamed Salah, when you compare it to the treatment of Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden gets away with so much. He was poor again against Liverpool. He's been poor this whole season, and he was literally the PFA Player of the Year last season, so this drop-off is crazy. And we heard people say excuses previously for Phil Foden, that Kevin De Bruyne is fit, that's his position, Phil Foden should be playing there, but because De Bruyne is there, he can't fulfill his potential just yet. But Kevin De Bruyne has been injured throughout this season. He has not been available and he struggled so far this season. So this was the time for Phil Foden to say, this is my position, this is my team now. And yet it looks like it's other players' teams and not his. He's just another bystander in this team. He needs to make a statement by the end of this season to say, this is my team. Otherwise, Pep Guardiola will genuinely bring in Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala, someone like that to make that number 10 position theirs. And Phil Foden will go back to being a player who comes in sometimes, who comes out, plays on the wing sometimes, plays centrally. And talking about Kevin De Bruyne as well, he really struggled in that Liverpool game. Physically, you can see he doesn't have it anymore. And it's unfortunate because he's a player who's completely dominated these games previously. He's caused Liverpool so much torment previously. But in this game, it felt like he was unable to do anything. And that shot at the end of the first half literally epitomizes where Kevin De Bruyne is right now. And I feel like at the end of this season, his time in the Premier League is up. He goes as a legend. And if that is the last time he played Liverpool, then I have to say that is one of the best midfielders I have ever seen play in the Premier League, if not the best. Overall, Liverpool's win at the Etihad wasn't just another victory, it was a statement to the Premier League. They defended with grit, they attacked with precision, and just overall seeing the performances of Szoboszlai, Salah, Van Dijk, the key Liverpool players, is quite clear to see that Liverpool are heading towards the title right now. Can Arsenal catch up? That's a different story. They have so many injuries up front. They have a tough schedule going up. And I felt like the West Ham game for them was the easiest fixture they had in the schedule coming up. So if they're dropping points against West Ham, they could easily drop points again in the next 3 or 4 games without their attackers being fit. Which means if Liverpool continue to play well with 3 home games in a row coming up and Anfield being a fortress, and hopefully the fans also share that sentiment of making Anfield a fortress. We saw Virgil van Dijk talking about it and telling the fans to be up for it. Let's win these next 3 home games and see where Liverpool are at. And if they have that same gap, 8-point, 11-point gap, then it's hard to see how Liverpool don't win the league this season. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts on the game down below, and let me know if you think Liverpool have definitely won the title by now. Subscribe for more, hit the notification bell so you know whenever I upload, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.